help me welcome Brian Catano, the one and only, none other than, the one and only, none other than Brian Catano.
God help me.
He will.
Ed asked his wife Beverly one day, Bev, in your wildest dreams, did you ever imagine I'd be president of Bits and Speeches, 16 times presidents distinguished? Bev didn't hesitate. She said, Ed, dear, hate to break it to you, but you're not in my wildest dreams. I am here to honor Ed as our president for the last year. We know Ed, he's a man of integrity, diligence, and of course, causing me cringeworthy moments with his cliches. None other than the one and only, last but not least, and the one he really likes using is, without further ado. Sometimes he'll say it in a different way that isn't exactly without further ado. He'll say, without further hesitation, or he'll say another word, and he'll look at me thinking, okay, got you again. But Ed, tonight I'm getting my revenge for all those times you made me cringe when you started saying those cliches. I wish I could say I'm going to miss Ed being up here every week, at the beginning of the meeting and the end of the meeting. I say, I wish I could say that, but I can't. Not in all honesty, I'm not going to miss Ed. And, surprise, you're not going to miss Ed either. Why? You know, Ed's a Navy vet. Thank you for your service, Ed. Because he's a Navy vet, I contacted Navy Intelligence, now located in Elmira, California. Because you heard Bits and Speeches, we're the greatest club this side of Elmira.
Right.
Well, the Navy Intelligence folks worked with me on this one special project because, well, after they got Osama bin Laden, they weren't doing much. So they had extra time on their hands when I said, I got this guy, Ed Johnson. You know him, right? And they go, yeah, I remember Ed when he was in the service. Thank goodness he finally retired. But they want to know what I wanted for this special project. Well, I commissioned the folks in Elmira to create a body double of Ed. Dominique, could you help me and bring up the body double?
Oh, no, not like that. You're in on this.
She has nothing to do with, she didn't know it was in the box, so thank
No,
you,
no
Dominique.
Stanford for you.
Thank you, Dominique. We'll all chip in and we'll go to Stanford. Now, this is what we call version 1.0. Now, notice
I know it.
funds were a little low because Cindy had just retired, although she does get pretty much the same pay she got when she was working. We were on a fixed income. You ever hear that saying? Fixed income just means you're only working for your pension, or you're not working, you just get a pension. So this is version 1.0. I'm hoping someday that I can get version 2.0. Because when you see this body double of Ed, you'll notice one thing right away. Yes, he is a little shorter than Ed, but he's also a different skin color. Did anybody notice that right away, or did that just, was that too not obvious enough? But I saved money by not putting the extra pigmentation. I got the Caucasian model, much cheaper, and not as expensive to make this guy. Now, if I wanted the African American model to be just like Ed, too much money, I couldn't afford it. So I got the cheap version. But you'll see there's other similarities in Ed 1.0 that will make it almost as good.
I know what this is.
For now, all they can do is to simulate his voice. But you know, they did follow my instructions. I asked that they install the corny things that Ed says and his cliches. That's what I wanted this doll to say. But you know, the Navy, they didn't quite understand what I was saying. So what they did instead was they listened to Ed and Beverly's Alexa for the last couple of months. And the things they heard in Ed and Beverly's house is pretty much how they programmed Ed. And you'll notice a lot of it is over the top, nice to Bev. I mean, to the point, you know he's nice to Bev anyway, but this is what Alexa picks up all the time when they're talking in their house. and this is what they did for the doll. So hopefully this will work. This is untested. So what I have to do is give the Ed doll a lead-in phrase, and then he'll respond. I did it in a poem, like poetic rhyme, if that makes any sense. Now that I'm unretired, and Ed went back to work, I got the money. Don't worry.
I'll pay for that, honey. Don't you worry about it.
Does it sound like him a little bit? Okay. And then sometimes with Ed, just like with a doll, you have to just ignore something he says because it doesn't make any sense, and just pretend you're listening, nod your head, but really you don't care what he's saying at that time. The car you're driving is a year old. It's not very new. So,
When I saw these roses, I had to get them for you.
I was in the Navy, but my tastes are changing.
Let's go see that chick flick again.
You shouldn't work too hard. At least that's what you said.
Good morning. I made you breakfast in bed again.
My voice.
Don't bother fixing your hair. Your quest to be pretty has succeeded.
Sweetie, you don't need makeup. You're always beautiful.
And as I mentioned before, sometimes you just hear too much of Ed, so you just have to bag him and let him talk for a while. So just ignore him for the next couple of seconds as I get to the next thing I want him to say.
I'm removing my hearing aid.
Yes. This is the cheap version where you can't fast forward. Remember 8-track tapes? So you have to play the whole song. Okay, I'm bagging now. Wish we had this in real life, Ed. Maybe I'll get a bigger bag for you in person.
Don't worry, I'll
Bev, you could have done much better than me. It's true.
I'm the luckiest guy in the world when I'm with you.
And you are truly one and only, last but not least, none other than you has served us well as president this year. Thank you for your service to the club.